Students, today we'll talk about W.H. Auden's poem in memory of W.B. Yeats. But before we begin with the textual analysis, I'd like to tell you something about the poet and some important points regarding this poem. W.H. Auden. His full name is Weston Hugh Auden. He was born in 1907 in England and he died in 1973. Educated at Oxford, Auden is well known for being the leading poet of the 30s. His contemporary poets are Stephen Spender, C.D. Lewis, and Louise Mackenzie. Later in his life, Auden moved to America and he supported himself through writing and periods of teaching. His early poetry was predominantly Marxist, whereas his later poetry reflects a strong Christian position. This transition from a radical to a conservative position, though surprising, is in some ways understandable, for both in their own way gave him a sense of commitment. Auden's views poetry as a serious game which should lead to increased self-awareness on part of the reader. There is a degree of unevenness in his work, and this is perhaps because of his own shifting self-analysis and public postures, and also partly because of the wide range of his interests. Now, if we talk about this poem in memory of W.B. Yeats, this poem was written shortly after the death of W.B. Yeats, the famous Irish poet, in 1939. It's a time which was filled with uncertainty as the world was on the brink of World War. And it was at this time only that Auden also moved to America. So this poem is in the nature of an obituary, means it's like a notice of death, and is both an evaluation and an elegy. And it is also a prayer. So it's a kind of a notice of death, it's a kind of a prayer, and also brief biography of the deceased poet. He has divided this poem into three sections, and each one of them follows a different stanza form and rhyme scheme. The first section describes the wintry afternoon of Yeats' death, when while he was still alive, the rumors of his illness merged with rumors of his death. The second section is more close to the poet's life and is expressive of his many conflicts and conflicting loyalties and aspirations. The poet's resentment against the growing disabilities of age, his involvement in the Irish national movement, and his poetic desires are referred to in this section. So his major themes are also discussed in this part of the poem. Then the third section is a comment on the value of art and is a formal farewell to Yeats, the great Irish poet. So in this way, these are some of the main points, and now we'll begin with the textual analysis of this poem.